influenza at pagtaas ng kaso ng typhoid fever sa bansa, lalo na sa Baguio City. Ating pag-uusapan kasama si Dr. Rontgene Solante, infectious diseases expert at Pangulo ng Philippine College of Physicians. Dr. Solante, magandang tanghali po. Dr. Solante, alam mo, Kuweng, napapansin ng lahat na marami po ang nagkakasakit, maraming inuubo, sinisipon, may trangkaso, absent. Oo. So, Dr. Rontgene, gaano po ba karami ang naitalang mga flu-like illnesses ngayon sa ating bansa at ano po ang mga pangunahing dahilan nito?
Well, ganito Ninya, as part of the emerging and re-emerging infectious disease of the Department of Health, we discussed this 2 weeks ago. What's the reason for the increase in the cases of influenza-like illness, yung tinatawag natin na ILI. And it's still influenza, the influenza A and the influenza B. Now, kung titingnan natin yung trend last year, comparing it to this year, more or less the same, medyo may pagkonting increase lang this year, Kaya nakikita natin most regions are experiencing this, yung tinatawag natin na influenza-like illness, ubo, sakit ng katawan, sore throat, and some of them may have fever, And this is brought about by reasons that medyo malamig na, medyo maraming days na tagulan, and it's also the same pattern of increase in the cases as we have last year. At expected to, for the past several years, talagang ganito ang nangyayari sa atin. Starting August, September, hanggang October, November, and early part of January, talagang mataas ang influenza-like illness na naranasan ng Philippines.
Doc, ngayon po ay face-to-face na ang mga trabaho at pasok sa eskwelahan. Ano po ba yung mga paraan para makaiwas tayo sa sakit na ito?
Yes, unang-una, we have to remind everyone, just like your COVID, it's also something that a respiratory tract infection, madaling magkahawaan yan through droplet or aerosol, So, ibig sabihin, pag merong isa dyan or dalawa nagkakasakit, and then yung physical distance, hindi na natin na-observe ngayon, especially sa mga paaralan, sa mga public areas, mataas talaga ang risk ng infection, or transmission. Kaya, unang-una, we have to educate again, and remind everyone na napaka-importante magsuot ng face mask, whether an ordinary face mask, a cloth mask can be acceptable, para lang that's the barrier of getting the infection. At the same time, especially sa mga vulnerable population, kasi ang mga vulnerable population, ito yung natatamaan na pag influenza-like illness lang, pwedeng mag-severe, kagaya ng COVID. So, they also have to wear the face mask, at kung sino man yung may mga sintomas, we highly advise na wag mo nang papasok. You have to rest sa bahay lang muna. And usually, ang influenza-like illness naman, 3 days, 4 days, nawawala yan. But ang importante dito, if staying at home will also protect other individual para hindi magkakahawaan.
So, speaking of COVID, Doc, yung iba po kasi na-associate yung flu sa COVID dahil sa kaparehong sintomas nito. So, ano po ba yung pagkakaiba nito para makaiwas tayo sa misinformation sa flu at COVID?
Well, that's a tough question, Weng, because both COVID and influenza will have the same manifestations now. Para kagaya ng COVID na yung mga bagong Omicron XBB variant ngayon, they also cause the same manifestation as influenza, And it's so difficult to differentiate which one is COVID and which one is influenza, But again, we know that COVID has other complications compared to influenza. COVID has what we call long COVID, especially for the vulnerable population. So, sabay lang yan, pag maski nandito tayo sa ganitong klaseng stage ngayon na COVID cannot be differentiated with influenza, napaka-importante pa rin na we have to protect ourselves. At yung mga siguro vulnerable, and in fact, we have this awareness campaign ngayon sa society regarding yung influenza vaccine, no? Napaka-importante ng bakuna ngayon, especially for the children and for the elderly population. Isa yan sa mga una nating advocacy ngayon na sana magpabakuna din ng influenza at this point in time para maiwasan ang pagkawaan. Kasi this type of ILI will still remain until January.
So may follow-up lang ako, Doc. Kumusta naman po yung COVID cases dito sa Pilipinas? Meron po ba itong yung sinasabi na COVID RSV? Ano po ba ito? Yung rhinovirus, influenza A, influenza B, human metapneumovirus? Paki-educate nyo nga po kami dito, sir. Kasi dati punong-puno yung balita ng COVID, iba't ibang strain shock. Kumusta na po ba tayo ngayon?
Well, ang COVID natin ngayon is I think we are already in that stable stage of the infection, no? Dahil hindi na ganoon kataas at pangalawa, hindi na rin masyadong mataas ang awareness natin in terms of magpa-test, no? Because it costs a lot, no? So, ibig sabihin, although hindi natin alam kung ano na yung tunay na situation because itong mga na-report sa Department of Health are just those mga few cases na nagpapatest, no? But in a way, yung mga sinasabi mo kanina, Weng, yung respiratory syncytial virus, it's another type of respiratory virus that's so common, just like your influenza, that can also affect the elderly and the young children, no? Tapos yung influenza A and B, that's another virus that behaves just like COVID or respiratory syncytial virus. And then yung human metapneumovirus is another respiratory virus that can also have the same manifestations of an upper respiratory tract infection. So, mahirap i-differentiate, but all of these are viral infections and most of the time they are self-limited. Ibig sabihin, 3 to 4 days, mawawala yan, but can be contagious and can still be dangerous for the vulnerable population and the very small children.
Iingat pa rin talaga.
Yes, oo, nandyan pa rin. At sabi nyo nga, dati pa yung sa mga reports na it will be like your, your flu or yung trangkaso. And speaking of flu, dahil nga sabi ko kanina, napakarami na po ang nagkakaroon ng lagnat or mga absent po. No? I'm sure lahat tayo na nanonood ngayon may kakilala na nagkasakit. Alam mo, I just want to say I'm very happy kasi nagpa-flu shot ako, and Dr. Rontgene, you mentioned about the flu shot. So kaming pati mga anak ko pinag-flu shot ko. And ewan ko kung I think I did something right because kami na lang ang hindi nagkakasakit. Kunyari sa eskwelahan, sila na lang yung hindi pa absent or nilalagnat. So it's good advice that you mentioned earlier, Dr. Rontgene, na magpa-flu shot ang ating mga kababayan. Ngayon ang tanong ko, maraming nagsasabi, kailan naman kami magpapa-flu shot? Paano kung kagagaling lang sa sakit? When is the best time to get this flu shot, Doctor?
Yes, anytime, no, as long as wala ka ng mga sintomas like ubo, masakit ang lalamunan or lagnat, anytime you don't have those symptoms, once you are fully recovered, you should get your flu shots, no? At sabi mo nga Ninya, no, napaka-importante nitong bakuna na to dahil we also underestimated the influenza, no, because influenza has been with us for several years now, and ngayon lang natin napansin dahil nga tumataas na naman ang kaso na mga trangkaso, no? And napaka-importante, especially we'll be going to November and December, then that's the another peak of the influenza in our country na sana we can have all the vaccines na maturukan itong mga bata. Ang importante dito yung mga bata, no, less than 6 years old, and then yung mga matatanda more than 50 years old and above, no. But anybody who wants to be protected against influenza can also get their vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Ngayon, Doctor, tumungo naman po tayo sa typhoid fever. Ano po kaya ang dahilan ng outbreak na ito dyan sa Baguio City at paano po ba ang transmission nito?
Well, ang typhoid fever is an organism that is carried by somebody, and that somebody is not like yung waste material niya, no? Contaminated, it contaminates the water, or somebody is handling the food, yung nagluluto na hindi siya naghuhugas ng kamay ng maigi, and it is now naisalin doon sa water or any food that one is serving. Yun ang mga common cause ng typhoid fever na usually it's because of poor hygiene and not washing their hands. It's something like common in the Philippines. Now, one of the country, no, top 3 countries ang Philippines sa typhoid fever aside from India and Indonesia. And although we have what we call manageable number of cases, but every year I think there are province or municipalities that also report outbreaks, no? Kasi usually this is a common source infection. Isang tao ang may source nito, and then they serve the food, or in what way, one way or the other, they are selling the food and contaminated, and that's where the infection can be transmitted to other people.
So Doc, ano-ano naman po yung mga paraan para makaiwas at maiwasan na makahawa tayo ng typhoid fever?
Well, ang una talaga dito, dapat siguraduhin natin kung ano yung source ng pagkain natin, no? If we bought it outside, yung mga sa labas, then we have to know kung maigi ba ang preparation nito, or is it fully cooked, no? Because these are important route or source of the infection. So siguro as much as possible when we are buying our food, then we have to know sino ba yung nagluluto. Ang yung nagluluto ba is also observing hygiene during cooking and when they are serving the food, no? At saka yung source ng food pa rin, importante yon, no? Na hindi ba exposed or contaminated, which can also be the reason why this can easily be transmitted to those who are eating this food, who bought this food outside.
Doc, yung mga kinilaw, tayong mga Pilipino, mahilig tayo sa mga kinilaw na isda, kinilaw na kambing.
Oh, yes, oo. Yung mga ganun pong
Kung hindi
klase
siya
ng pagkain.
lutong-luto, oo.
Yes, that can be an important source, no? But there's a specific food type na talagang doon siya common, no? Yung mga itlog, no? Yung egg, no? So ibig sabihin, when you will be cooking your egg, as much as possible, it should be hard-boiled muna, no? Huwag yung medyo malasado, because that can also be something na source of the typhoid infection, no? So importante 'yon, pero ang common talaga dito yung mga nagluluto na hindi naghuhugas ng kamay, tapos yung mga niluluto naman nila hindi fully cooked, no? Yung mga half cooked, kagaya nung sinabi niyo, mga kinilaw or mga hindi masyadong fully cooked na mga food, then that's where some of this contamination can occur.
Also, kung how you keep your food, doctor, minsan, kahit nasabihin mo nang naluto ito ng mabuti, o kung iniwan mo naman sa labas ng matagal, di ba? Minsan po yung exposure niya yung hindi nilagay sa ref agad, nasisira po yung pagkain. Tapos nakakain, pwede ka rin magkaroon ng infection dyan or virus, no, Dr. Rontgene?
Yes, on that note, Ninya, there are other viruses that can also cause that, no, or other bacteria. But typhoid is really coming from a source of the food kung saan hindi siya naghugas and contaminated by that particular person.
Doc, babalikan ko lang po yung napag-usapan natin mga 2 weeks ago tungkol dun sa Nipah disease. Kumusta naman po ito? Di ba parang nagkaroon ng suspecha na merong ganong kaso somewhere sa Mindanao? Nakapasok po ba talaga ang Nipah virus dito sa ating bansa? Tsaka ano po ang update dun sa iniimbestigahan na nagkasakit doon sa Cagayan de Oro?
Well, Wing, no. So it was not Nipah virus, no. It was like an ILI, so influenza-like illness, yun, no. So far wala tayong Nipah virus na nakapasok sa Pilipinas, no. So it was a false alarm. It was more of an influenza-like illness na respiratory tract ang manifestation. So it's not Nipah.
Buti naman,
flu
yes.
lang talaga siya. Flu lang talaga.
Sabi nga ni Doktor, natatakot kami sa Nipah na yan dahil kayo rin po yung in-interview namin. Sabi nyo, 3 out of 5 could be fatal when you get the Nipah virus. So, mataas yung death rate niya. Okay, so hopefully
Yes. So,
walang makapasok
okay.
sa ating bansa. Yes, sir. Doctor, panghuli na lang po, health reminders at mensahe ninyo sa ating mga kababayan na nakatutok ngayon sa ating programa.
Well, unang-una, no, ang una kong advice sa kanila, recommend is really getting the influenza vaccine or the flu vaccine, no, para lang at least hindi tataas ang influenza-like illness. Pangalawa, we have to wear the face mask if we are in school or in a crowded area para lang to protect us also. And number 3, we keep ourselves healthy, no, drink a lot of water, eat healthy food, and of course, eat properly cooked food, no, to prevent also other contaminated induced infection like typhoid fever. Salamat, Weng and Linya.
Salamat, sir.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Dr. Rontgene Solante, Infectious Diseases Expert at Pangulo ng Philippine College of Physicians.